And welcome to another Cpanel Live. I'm your host, Jason Nickerson, and in today's broadcast, we'll be talking about NGINX Caching with Cpanel product owner Adam Wien. Today, we're broadcasting live on Cpanel Live, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We'll be taking your questions after the presentation, so please start getting your questions ready to share in the chat. So now let's hand it over to Adam and find out more about web server caching and NGINX.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Adam Wien. I'm a product owner at Cpanel, currently assigned to Easy Apache. I've been with the Easy Apache team for 4 years and with Cpanel for 17. Our most recent feature was to add a caching layer for use with Easy Apache. To do this, we used NGINX. For those that aren't familiar with NGINX, it's a web server that also has the ability to act as a reverse proxy for use with other web servers to speed up their ability to serve content. What does this mean for you? For you, it means lower system resources being used to serve websites, and for your customers, faster loading times for those websites. In previous CP Live talks, I've spoken about NGINX Standalone. In standalone mode, NGINX will serve websites directly to the end user. In this talk, I'll be speaking only about reverse proxy mode. In this mode, NGINX relies heavily on another web server to generate the content that it then serves to the end user. In our case, that web server is Apache. First, I'd like to go over the experience for those customers on version 94 of our software. That's the version currently in our release tier. In this version, you'll use Easy Apache to install NGINX, and it will set up caching for all users on the system. We've provided some command line features so that you can still receive all the benefits of caching, but without the same user experience as in our upcoming version 96. So before I start, let me apologize. I am using a mechanical keyboard. Yes, I'm that guy. So first thing you want to do is log into WHM. Those customers on version 96 will be presented with this feature showcase option to set up NGINX with reverse proxy caching. We're just going to exit to WHM. While I am on version 96, these steps I'm about to show will work for any supported version of Cpanel, mainly version 94. So the first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to navigate over to Easy Apache. We're going to customize our currently provisioned profile. We're going to come down to additional packages. See here, NGINX. We're going to choose NGINX. Click Next. And then Provision. So if you've been to my previous talks about standalone, you know what's happening here. Right now, we're moving Apache to a non-default port, 81 and 444 in my case, and we're standing up NGINX in its place. So now that the provision process is complete, NGINX is stood up and caching is enabled for all users on this system. So like I said, we provide some command line utilities for using NGINX on version 94. Let me show you those now. For this, we're going to come over to our terminal application. We're going to call /scripts ea-nginx. So if you've used NGINX previously or our implementation of it, this should look very familiar to you. But there is a couple new commands. We have cache and we have clear cache. What cache does, it allows you to interact with the overall system when it comes to caching and also the individual user when it comes to caching. So we'll call it real quick with the system flag. And this is the global settings for NGINX. You can modify these, not on the command line, but there's a JSON file you can modify to change these settings. I think it's somewhere. It's somewhere in here. Okay, so there is cache.json. So you can modify things like enable or disable caching globally. You can change the cache times. You can turn on X headers, things like that. But we've automated a couple of steps for you. So let's say you want to disable caching system-wide. You can do that via the command line utility. So we call cache with the global system flag enabled equals 0. So now when we call that cache command again, you can see that Nginx caching is now disabled. So let's enable that. So you can also interact on a per user basis with this. So I think I have one user set up on this system. We can disable caching this way for a specific user. So now for that, globally, Nginx caching is enabled, but for that user, it's disabled. So one of the things we added to version 94 is a little breadcrumb for the end user, so they can actually see if Nginx caching is enabled or disabled on their user. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to come over to list accounts. We're going to masquerade as a cPanel user. And over here on the right under general information, you'll see Nginx caching is inactive. So we're going to come back to our terminal and we're going to enable it for that user. Same command, just enabled equals 1. Back over to cPanel, we'll reload this page. And as you can see, Nginx caching is now active. Right there. So that's how you turn caching on and off. Let's say a user has contacted you and they're having an issue and you think they have a stale cache or a bad cache for their account. We've given you tools so you can actually clear their cache. You can use the all flag. The all flag is going to clear cache for every user on the system. Or you can provide the username. Let's see, what was that username again? And now just that user's cache is cleared. So that's what it looks like on version 94. For 96, we've actually introduced a UI to help customers perform these tasks. So we're going to reset our system back to the way it was before we started. We're again going to customize our installed profile. Come down to additional packages. Uncheck Nginx. And again, provision. So now we're removing Nginx from the system. Just like before, we're uninstalling Nginx and putting Apache in its place. So now that that's complete, our system is restored to what it was before we even got started. So in version 96, we've introduced a UI for our customers to perform these tasks. It's called the Nginx Manager. So when you click on Nginx Manager, it presents you with this splash screen, and it lets you know what's going to happen when you install NGINX. So we're going to click Install. This should look familiar. It's just like Easy Apache 4, but we put it in one convenient place, so everything NGINX related will be in this interface. And that's it. NGINX is set up in reverse proxy with caching for all users on the system. So now we're going to proceed to the NGINX Manager. So you should be able to perform everything I demonstrated on command line through this easy to use UI. We can clear cache for all users. We can restart NGINX. We can rebuild its configuration or reset users to the system default. So to jump ahead a little bit, when you come over to the Users tab, you can enable and disable caching on a per user basis. If you have not made a modification to enable or disable cache for this user, you can then reset users to use the system default. So now all users will be reset to enabled or disabled. But back to that user settings tab. So here again, we can enable or disable caching on a per user basis, and we can also clear cache for each individual user. I only have one user on the system, but here would be listed all of your accounts if you had more than one. We also give you the opportunity to uninstall Nginx. So say Nginx has introduced some kind of incompatibility with your system, you can uninstall it from here too. So these are the tools we've provided to work with Nginx. So what are some of the benefits? So a customer turned me on to a piece of software called Siege. Siege does exactly what it sounds like. It puts your server under siege. It's a benchmarking / regression testing software. So if you've made changes, you can rerun Siege and see if it's improved your site's performance or caused a detriment to performance. So I have about 150 WordPress sites set up on this server. So let me choose one. Okay. So we're going to put this WordPress site under siege. First, I want to ensure that NGINX caching is disabled so you can see what kind of performance we're getting out of the box. So we'll just come over here, go to our user settings, and disable caching. And now we'll run our test. So what this is it's 50 concurrent users. So this is 50 users accessing your one site. And we're going to run our test for 10 seconds. 10 seconds should be enough to show the difference. So as you can see, with Nginx caching disabled, we were able to do 1,759 hits and 188 transactions per second with caching disabled. This is default cPanel out of the box. So let's enable caching and see if we see an improvement. Come back to our users tab and then enable. Come back here and we'll rerun our test. So as you can see, we've seen quite an improvement. That looks like what? Over 3 times the hits, and it looks like we've over tripled our transactions per second. And the cool thing about caching, the more you run this and the more things you have in your cache, the faster this will get. So that's great. That's what it looks like for a single site. What does it look like for a busy server? One of the cool things about Siege is you can actually provide it with a URL list and give it, 50, 100, 1,000 websites on the single server to test with. So let's try that. Again, we're going to go back to our baseline where we disable caching. And now rather than a single URL, we're going to give it a URL list. This is 50 randomly generated WordPress sites, as you can see. So we're going to run Siege this way. Again, 10 seconds is usually enough to give us a good barometer on how our performance is. Okay, we were able to do 1,400 hits and about 155 transactions per second. Let's see what that looks like with caching enabled. Enable caching and rerun our test. So as you can see, our results are pretty similar. We were able to triple our transactions, and we were able to triple our transaction rate. And this is at scale. This is 50 websites being hit by 50 users for 10 seconds. As you can see, the numbers really speak for themselves. While website caching isn't new, a cPanel supported caching layer built into Easy Apache is. If you have any questions, please stick around for the question and answer portion of today's cPanel Live or email me directly, adam@cpanel.net. Are we having an issue here? I can't hear you, Jason.
Oh, today is the technical issue day. I'm sorry about that, friends. We've had a very interesting day today here with battling technical difficulties, but we're on top of it. So I'm sure you're used to that, though. Unmute. I'm sure everybody is in Zoom calls and forgets to unmute occasionally. So that's per par for today. So what I was saying was, wow, that was really great, Adam. It looks like we've got it down to a one-click installation.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, and after that, it's one click for everything. One click, clear the cache. One click, this and that. That's really, I think, where this whole industry is going now is automation, ease of use, and anybody can do it. And that's what our customers are really looking for, I think. So that was really, really great to see that coming. So if you have any questions for Adam, please start posting them in the chat on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. And before we get started with your questions, I'd like to share some of the latest CP news. So as Adam was saying, version 96 is coming. And it has some nice features, including the NGINX Caching, Active Sync, and Alma Linux. And speaking of Alma Linux, we just announced in our blog that we will be supporting Alma Linux in version 94 and 96 moving forward as a replacement for CentOS. I'm going to share that blog link now if you'd like to read more about what we're doing and when to expect Alma Linux to come in. And we have another update to our cPanel Live survey sweepstakes. So every cPanel Live, we've been giving you guys the chance to win something with our survey. And everybody's asking us what happened to our Cpanel Swag, because we went to a format of giving away some gift cards. So we're happy to report that the Cpanel Swag has returned, and it's easier than ever to get your hands on it. We've changed our terms, and so now the first 20 people to fill out our survey will get a chance to spin the new Cpanel Lucky Wheel to take home some cool Cpanel swag. And everyone who's registered for this broadcast will receive an email with a survey link in it. So make sure to register for all the upcoming Cpanel lives. And you have a chance still, if you haven't registered yet, go to cpanel.live and register today before this session is over, and you'll be entered to get that survey link and a chance to win some cool Cpanel swag. And coming up next month, we have a really special Cpanel Live. I'm happy to announce our next Cpanel Live is going to be April 22nd and feature a discussion about Mailnode. And this is going to be really special. We have some special guests, and I think you're all going to want to check this out because it's some new features coming out in Cpanel and something that's very interesting. So if you haven't subscribed to cpanel.live yet, make sure to sign up today at www.cpanel.live. Sign up for the notifications for our email list so you'll know when we open the registration for next month. As well, we have something coming up big next week. If you've never been to CloudFest in Germany, now's your chance to do it virtually. You can join Cpanel and our partners at CloudFest 2021 online. CloudFest is the world's largest cloud computing and hosting conference, and it goes online next week for 3 days of keynotes, sessions, networking, and as the name says, festival-style parties. So you can register today at cloudfest.com, or you can click this link that we're sharing right now, and you can get free tickets, courtesy of Cpanel. So let's see, do we have some questions for us now? Because I do have a question for you, Adam, but we can throw that out in a minute here and see what we've got. So looking at this, is there any plans to add this into the customer's Cpanel to allow them to disable and enable it themselves? That's something I kind of was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's always the eventual progression of our features is give it access to the admin and then let that come down to the end user. So the answer to your question is yes. When that comes, I'm not really sure. Hopefully by the next LTS, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, okay. So are there any other caching solutions that we're suggesting that people use?
I mean, other than our own, the one I just showed. Well, I mean, sure. The one that Lightspeed ships, I hear is really great. The WordPress integration for Lightspeed, I hear is wonderful. So I'm pretty sure we can make that recommendation.
Fantastic. So how does the improved performance compare against the Lightspeed options that we provide for websites such as WordPress? Is there a comparison available?
I have not made that comparison, but of course, just follow the steps I showed in the demo, and you could run those numbers yourself. I think you can use Lightspeed for free under a certain amount of memory or a certain amount of domains. I'm not real positive. So speaking to 94, as with Nginx, like I know that the Nginx Manager is coming in 96, but we did provide those command line utilities for people on 94 because we know a lot of customers like to stick to that LTS and get that long-term support. But those customers on 94 and on LTS will still get the full functionality of Nginx with caching.
Can we get a copy of this video? Of course you can. Just go after the broadcast, go to our YouTube page or our Twitch page or our Facebook, and you can rewatch the broadcast. And all these broadcasts are available on cpanel.live under the past events. We've shared all the YouTube links there with the YouTube videos. And I guess that kind of brings me to one of my questions, Adam, is this is server-side caching, right? Can you talk a little bit about, the whole caching structure for maybe somebody who doesn't know the different levels of caching that take place getting to the browser?
So like you said, this is server-side caching. There's other types of caching, like Cloudflare offers caching. There's companies like Akamai, if you remember them. That provides CDN type caching that get your data as close to the end user as possible. But Our implementation is very much server side on the server. We want you to be able to control that caching, control your data, and who has access to it.
And so would you get better performance out of caching, or is it just overkill? Like, let's say I have a WordPress site and I'm using some kind of speed cache or a caching plugin that does the caching, and then I've got, I'm using Cloudflare, and then I add another layer with Nginx. Would I be able to do that, add 2 layers, Nginx and Cloudflare?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we actually worked a little bit to ensure that Cloudflare worked with our Nginx implementation. So, I mean, as long as you don't have any incompatibilities between these different caching services, there's really no reason you shouldn't be able to use multiple levels of caching.
Nice. And so that does work to provide even faster. It's not just overkill.
Yeah.
And I think we have a few more questions. If you have your own server environment running Apache, does the upgrade for Nginx work live?
Yes. Cpanel has really good support for running Apache on a non-default port. So really all we're doing is moving Apache to a non-default port and putting Nginx in its place. This is actually a non-destructive change. So if you set up Nginx and you decide to don't like it, just uninstall it and you'll go right back to Apache, no problem.
So if most of the websites on a server are not using WordPress, will it work? Of course it will.
Yeah, so I know WordPress is the hotness right now, and everybody wants faster WordPress, but this works for all domains. All your static content should be cached by Nginx.
It works with Joomla and Drupal, all the really content management systems. It doesn't matter. It's server side, so it doesn't matter what tool you use. It just does it for them.
That's right. All static content your website is serving should be cached.
If you cluster cPanel, do all hosts have to run Nginx?
So I'm not sure of what type of clustering you're talking about, but probably not. Like I said, the experience with Nginx and with Apache should be exactly the same, other than the speed element. So it really shouldn't matter. You should be able to mix and match different web servers.
Okay, here's a long one. We previously rolled out Engine previously, so I can confirm it does speed up a website a lot. The added benefit of you guys supporting it would be user control for sure. Would you be considering a plugin for the major CMSs like WordPress? I don't think we're really in the plugin state, are we? At this point, we do it on the server side.
So I'm like we said previously, I'm the Easy Apache product owner. So I provide the Nginx service. I'm not really the WordPress product owner. So I don't know if that's on their roadmap, but you never know.
Exactly. And since this is, we have WordPress toolkit now, there might be some caching layer added to that or something, but just to make an out of the box free WordPress plugin to work with it, that's not server-side caching.
Right.
Does the Nginx been enabled to use the remote IP feature to allow passing through of the external IP?
I think I know what you're talking about, and yes. But again, if you could email me away from this talk, and we'll talk, and we'll try to drill down on what you're trying to ask.
All right, and we have some more questions coming. I did want to remind everybody that we have changed our survey sweepstakes to a giveaway. So if you have registered for this cPanel Live or for some upcoming ones, you're going to get a survey link by email after the broadcast is over. And please check your spam if you signed up for that, because some things go to spam if you want to get that survey link for a chance to win some cool Cpanel swag. And let's see, we're rolling up on about 30 minutes here, so we're going to give it about 1 or 2 more minutes and see if we get some more questions, because this was a very good demonstration of how easy this is to turn on and off. I was laughing with Adam beforehand saying, I wonder how many questions we're going to get. What we really added is a great little thing. It's a on and off switch. So thanks everybody for your great questions.
That's always our hope, to automate this stuff and make it as easy as possible for everybody to use.
And I think we have another question, and that looks like it's an obvious one that we didn't point out that I think we were talking about earlier. I think it was before this one, but we'll answer this one. And hey, Lucas, how you doing? We're gonna bump you real quick because we know Lucas personally, so we'll bump him real quick. Sorry, Lucas. Can we get a trial of Nginx, or do we have to purchase it? So I know the answer. I'll let Adam explain.
It comes with Easy Apache, so it's part of your base license price. It should be available to all customers that are using Easy Apache with cPanel.
And the Nginx project is a open source free product, right?
Yep.
And yeah, we in our industry really love the open source communities and what they do. We rely on a lot of that stuff, and it's really great. So it might be worth mentioning, to the point of running plugins inside of CMSs, is to do more intelligent caching on the server side. You really can't make a proper caching solution without being able to control that.
You're absolutely right.
I don't think that was a question from Lucas. I think he was just, chiming in and letting us know that, the intelligent side of caching on the server side. All right. So I think this has been a really great Cpanel Live, and we've shared a lot of good information on here. So we'll go ahead and come to a close. So again, I want to thank everybody for the great questions, and I want to take one moment to remind you about our updated sweepstakes that we're doing for some cool swag, and to register for the upcoming event that is taking place on April the 22nd, Cpanel Live, and come visit our booth and check out our talks at CloudFest. And we'll share the link for CloudFest again for any of you that haven't joined that. And we'll see you next time, and hopefully we'll see you at CloudFest. And thank you, Adam. It was really a fun talk today. And thanks again, everybody, for the great questions.
Thanks, everybody.